has been talking about, love. About how God has always loved you, and, no matter what, He's going to be there, and He's always going to love you. And that you shouldn't turn your back on Him, because He's not going to turn His back on you. Recently I went on a trip for a week to New Jersey with a couple friends from church, Damien and his dad. And, it was a real opener for me. Like, it didn't just open my eyes to a bunch of things, it also opened my heart. Because I found out that, no matter where you go in this country or where you go in the world, that, God is going to be there. No matter where you're at. And I learned that on this trip because a few weeks before that, I'd been having this feeling. And it's a feeling that I shouldn't have had because, I know that people in this church and my family, they love me. And I knew that, but for some reason I had this feeling of inadequacy. I just didn't feel like I belonged around, really anybody for a while, and, it was eating in me. Like, it was getting me from the inside out. And, while I was on this trip, I got to see a number of different things. I got to see my nation's capital, got to go to Baltimore, Delaware, Virginia, Philly. Philly was great. And, during this whole trip, I still had that feeling until we went to the beach one night, and I was out there by myself from about 9 o'clock to about midnight, just walking up and down the beach, not doing anything, and I just kept telling myself, thank you, because I'm from Florida, and the beach is a big part of my life, and to be back in, to see the salt water, to smell the air, and just to feel the sand on my feet, it was amazing. I just kept telling God, thank you for letting me experience this again. And eventually, for some reason, this is when it really hit me. This is when I learned that, God is always there. For some reason I started to cry. And it just started coming down. It wasn't, just heavy tears, it was just one or two. And I found myself about, up to my ankles in the water, and, it felt like, something else was there with me. I wasn't there by myself, that I wasn't alone, that, I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm pretty sure some of y'all older people know what I'm talking about, like when you know that you're just not alone, I started speaking in tongues. Like, I didn't know what I was saying, what was going on. I'm crying, standing in the water, and it was just beautiful. It was the most beautiful night I've ever seen at the beach in my entire life. No clouds in the sky, the moon's just hitting the water, it's full moon, it was beautiful. And, I thought to myself, God, what do you want me to do? And I knew I had to speak here today, and I had nothing planned, nothing at all, until that night, and He told me that I was going to be speaking out of 1 John. The verse that I have is 1 John chapter 4, verse 16 through 19. If you have a Bible, you want to turn to it, you can. But it says, "And we have known and believed the love that God has for us. God is love. And he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him." Verse 17, "Love has been perfected among us in this, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. Because as He is, so are we in this world." And this is my favorite part. It's verse 18. "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment." And that's just half of it. We're going to stop right there. Like I said earlier, a few minutes ago, I had that feeling of inadequacy. I felt like I just didn't belong. And I guess you could say that was the fear of not being loved. And after I read this verse and I read that part right there, you could say that I was being tormented by it. I gotta find the note. Yeah, and I was being tormented by it, that I didn't belong. And God showed me that night that even if you don't feel like, you don't have anybody there, that there's no one on your side, and that you just have nothing left to live for or anything like that, God whether you're in New Jersey, whether you're in Florida or Tennessee, you know, whether you're in Bolivia or anywhere, it doesn't matter. God is going to be there.
Yes, He is.
And I'm going ahead and finish the verse for you. If I can find it. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. Now, when I read that, you know, and it's talking about, you know, God never put fear in your life. God never gave you the power to fear anything. We did that ourselves. And I get it, you know, I was nervous. I'm nervous every time I come up here. Every time I stand in front of y'all and I try to speak, and I try to bring it from the heart, you know, and out of the book, I'm nervous. But I guess being nervous is kind of like fear. You know, you're scared of being in front of everybody. I mean, it might seem to y'all right now like, you know, I'm calm, I'm collected, you know, it's easy for me to put words, you know, out of my mouth to y'all right now, but I'm nervous, I really am. But, you know, you don't need to be nervous. You don't need to be nervous about anything. You can do anything with God on your side, as long as you know that He loves you.
That's right.
And, I don't know, the first time I was up here, you know, that I spoke was after camp, and at the end of my message, I said that words had come to me at camp, and that was the word everything, you know. And it ties in with verse 19, the last verse in this, and it says, we love Him because He first loved us. And that word everything, it ties in, you know, Jesus did everything He could for us when He was around. So did God. He did everything in God's name for us. And now we're doing everything that we can for Him. You're supposed to, you know. You put your life into God's hands and you do it for Him. And then He'll do it back for you. So it's kind of like it's going back and forth. But only twice. Like it doesn't continue to. But it just the word everything reminds me of that verse because God loved us first, so now we're loving Him.
Yes.
Just like He's doing everything, He did everything for us, we're doing everything in His name.
Yes.
And I guess as long as you keep doing that and you know that God loves you and that God is always going to be there,
Yes.
that you can accomplish anything.
That's right.
You can save people's lives. You can, you know, make an investment, whether it's a dumb investment or a smart investment. It's as long as it's in God's name, it's going to work out. I mean, some of y'all might have heard, you know, a couple weeks ago I was in a car wreck. I hit a tree in Trey and Brandy's car, total big car. It will not run ever again. And you know, I was so worried, you know, that was their only vehicle and I took it from them. And, you know, they kept telling me, you know, not to worry about it, it's going to be okay, but I am going to worry. This was my first car wreck. You know, I didn't have a seatbelt on. It was a dumb choice not having a seatbelt on, but I could have died that day.
That's right.
I could have. And, you know, I thank God that I didn't. But I got back last night and found out that Trey and Brandy have new cars. They told me not to worry about it, and I mean, I did a little bit, but in the end I didn't worry about it. And now I don't have to worry at all. I mean, they have a vehicle. And I don't really know how they got the vehicle or anything like that. All I know is, you know, God had something to do with it. They said, you know, the day of the wreck, you know, God's going to be there. We're going to get another vehicle. It's all going to be okay. And that's what happened. And I guess I'm just going to end by saying, you know, no matter what, God is going to be there. Whether you feel inadequate, you feel this big, or even if, you know, you're 100 feet tall and you're on top of the world, God is still there.
Yes, He is.
And you need to put God in your life. That way, you're in His hands.
Yes.
Because once you do that, you know, you can accomplish anything. God loves you, so love Him back.
Yeah.